So looking at page 17, we're going to start with question number 15. So this is on, again, radical equations. So to undo this radical, we're going to square it. So the very first step, I want you to put this above the directions, is to isolate the radical. First. All right, let me do this. So that's the very first thing you have to do, is isolate the radical. That means you have to get the radical on one side of the equation by itself. Some of these, is that step one is already done, because right here, the radical is already by itself. Right here, the radical is isolated by itself. When we get to here, it's not, you have something on the outside. Okay, so we will have to do that statement that we wrote at the top first. So since this is done, okay, we're going to go ahead and square both sides. We're going to square both sides, because that is how you undo a radical. So when I square 9 times 9 is 81. And when I square, or say the square root of x squared times, square root of x times the square root of x is x squared. So you really just end up taking the square root of x squared, which is x. So really all you have to remember is, when I square this, I'm just going to drop the radical sign. That's really what happens. Okay, so when you square this, then you just end up with the radicand, and you're done, because it says x equals 81. You're finished. Okay, over here I'm going to do the same thing. It's already isolated, so I can square both sides. And again, squaring both sides drops that radical. And now you have just a simple one-step equation. Add 10 to both sides, and you're done. Okay, it's not a hard concept at all. Okay, same thing here. Square both sides. That's all you're doing. It's already isolated, so you can start with just squaring. 10 squared is 100. This just drops the radical. Okay, and then you solve it from there. So how do I solve it? Divide both sides by 25. So x equals to 4. All right, so it's pretty easy when that first step is already done. And it's not that bad when it's not done, because you're going to see. So notice here, I have this -3 on the outside. So I have to get this part by itself. Okay, that's what it means by isolate. So this -3 is being multiplied by this radical. So what's the opposite of multiplication? Division. So you just simply divide both sides by -3. Okay, that's how you eliminate that. So that's gone. I just now drop my radical sign, and then I say -18 divided by -3 is a +6. And then you just solve your equation from there. And you know, they may not all turn out to be nice integers. Okay, yes. That step. Right. So once you do that, then we would have done this. And that's going to actually change our answer. So thank you for pointing that out. So, because what is 18 squared? Well, actually, what is 6 squared? My fault. What's 6 squared, guys? 36. So that's going to change this number to 36. So let me go back and rework this. So now it might come out to be a nice integer for you. So this should be 36. And it looks like it is, because when we add 4, that's going to give you 40. And so n equals to 10. All right, so yes, so we had left that step out. So that's how this kind of just disappeared, because we did also have to square the 6, makes it 36. Let's move on down to 19. All right, give me 1 second. So next thing we're going to do here is divide both sides by what? By what? All right, so let's do that. So that's going to give me the square root of x minus 10, and I'll put in every step this time, equals to what? 9. Very good. So now we're going to square both sides. So that drops my radical, and I'll have x minus 10 equals to what? 81. All right, so now we can add 10 to both sides. So x equals to 91, is that correct? Okay. All right, let's do number 20. So what if you don't have something being multiplied by the radical, but you have something that says plus 7 over here? Okay, well, how do you get rid of a plus 7? What's the opposite of plus 7? Subtracting. Very good. Okay, so let's do number 20. We're going to subtract 7 from both sides. So it doesn't matter the operation is there. You just do the opposite to move it over. So then I'll have 5v under the radical equals, and what's 12 minus 7? 5. Okay. And then what do we do? What's my next step? Square both sides. Okay. And then I have 5v plus 5 equals to 25. And then we'll subtract 5 from both sides. 5v equals to 20. So v equals to 4. Okay, so I'm going to have you finish up with questions 21 and 22. All right, so it looks like our answers for 21 and 22 will be 3 and actually this should have been x. X equals to -3 for the last one. Okay. All right. So let's go back to the agenda so you can see what you're doing. So we just finished the notes for 16 and 17. Now you're going to go to Blackboard, and actually your classwork is just right there on Blackboard. You'll have to do these problems, of course, in your spiral notebooks. Okay, and then you're doing pages 18 and 19, blocks 1, 2, and 3. We'll skip 5 and 6. And blocks 4 and 7 will do everything on pages 18 and 19. Okay.